Diane has worked so hard on this. She understands, going back to the day she found the mayor dead in his office and been killed, how strongly she feels about that. I know that. But right now, her amendment, using the most optimistic numbers, has less than 40 votes. That's not 60.
Senator Harry Reid today explaining his stunning decision to drop the assault weapons ban proposed by Senator Dianne Feinstein. Michael Moore, I was just incensed when I heard this. You know, hearing Harry Reid say, well, I can't get enough votes, so we're just going to put it on the back burner. This is about prohibiting the kind of weapons that murdered those poor children at Sandy Hook. That's what this is about. That's what he's put on the back burner. What was your reaction?
Well, I have so many things to say. We don't have time to cover them all. Harry Reid and these Democrats, I mean, this is not something that's unusual. Democrats have a history of backing away, backing down. They're the ones that accepted the new math that majority meant 60 instead of 51. And this attitude of, well, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to get, you know, this is why our side, we have these weenies on our side. Well, we can't get the votes, you know. This is what I actually admire about Republicans. They've got the courage of their convictions. No matter how crazy their idea is, transvaginal probes, they will not step back. They will not relent.
Look at the NRA.
They will go for it. The NRA, same way.
The NRA,
same way.
Wayne LaPierre has driven this campaign now since Aurora, when you came on before, and since Sandy Hook. He has continued to do this. Here's the thing about LaPierre, though. He has flip-flopped on these key issues. Take background checks. Here's what he said in 1999 about background checks.
We think it's reasonable to provide mandatory instant criminal background checks for every sale at every gun show. No loopholes anywhere for anyone.
We do not, because the fact is the law right now is a failure the way it's working. The fact is that you have 76,000 some people that have been denied under the present law. Only 44 were prosecuted. You're letting them go. They're walking the streets.
Utterly shameless. He's also, Wayne LaPierre said previously, that schools should be gun-free zones. Now he says everyone in the school should be armed. The man does any U-turn that suits him, and yet he is winning this war in Washington. Why is he winning it? Why does the NRA continue to wield this power? I've got a tweet here from Ted Nugent. You should ask Michael Moore this. Will you ever admit that your Bowling for Columbine big lie is a manipulated, dishonest propaganda smear against the good families of the NRA and the honorable American legendary freedom warrior Charlton Heston?
Okay. Listen, okay, Ted and I are both from Michigan, but there's a reason why in Detroit we call him the Motor City Madman. You know, he's been off his rocker for a long time. I feel bad about that because he actually had some good music back in the day. But listen, the thing here with Wayne LaPierre, who, by the way, actually I thought he's aged pretty well.
And by the way, he's never come on this show.
He won't come on here?
I repeatedly asked him, Mr. LaPierre, if you're watching.
That's odd.
You've gone on every other show. Come on my show.
Because they're generally not afraid.
Debate and explain to me why you said this about background checks before, and now I've done a complete U-turn, why you think schools should be gun-free zones, but now you think they should be full of guns. Just come and explain to me. Be a man and do it.
And Wayne, if you're still watching, I'll protect you. Because he's really mad about this.
I am mad about it.
He is mad. And I'm so glad that you have led the parade here on this. Thank God you haven't been deported. You're still here. But you have been relentless about this.
But it makes me
you're
so,
the opposite of Harry Reid.
It makes me so angry. And it makes me so angry that Dianne Feinstein, who has seen it firsthand what these guns can do to people, you know, she has literally picked up the pieces.
What has happened to the idea of just, this is what we believe in and we're going to go ahead with it. Even if we don't have the votes, we're going to go ahead with it because we believe in this. That's what the other side does. We don't do that. What is it? I mean, Harry Reid should get 10 million emails in his box tomorrow. Everybody watching the show, and everybody should, you know, text or tweet 10 other people tonight and say, send a message to Harry Reid tomorrow to put this assault weapons ban back on the agenda.
Right. Here's what Barbara Streisand tweeted to you via me. She said, how can Americans organize to make their voices heard on gun control and the economy and rising income inequality, so they can demand change on these urgent issues. Take up the gun control thing. What can the American public, the majority of whom want an assault weapons ban, want a universal background check, etc., what can they do if their politicians are simply too cowardly to act on their behalf because of the power of the NRA?
People are going to have to let these politicians know that they're going to be voted out in the next term. If they're not afraid of the electorate, they're never going to do these things that they need to do. But we have lots of examples of when people do rise up, when people's voices are heard loudly, these politicians are just as frightened and back off. And the politicians need to be reminded that there's nearly 5 million members of the NRA, and there's 303 million Americans who are not members of the NRA. You know, Wayne says there's 100 million Americans that own a gun. Well, there's 200 million that don't.
But here's the thing.
We're the majority.
Right. The majority, though, is being outshouted, outgunned, you might say, quite literally, by the NRA. The minority are having the biggest voice in this debate, and they are winning the argument.
Right.
You cannot look at what happened today with what Harry Reid has done and not say he is being cowed by the NRA.
People watching the show right now can get out their iPhone or BlackBerry, their laptop, and send an email right now to Harry Reid, or do it after the show. But they won't do anything if people don't stand up and say something, especially the Democrats. So this is going to require people are actually not just going to be able to sit back on the couch tonight and go, oh, geez, that Harry Reid, you know, I guess we didn't have the 60 votes. Put the Republicans on the spot. Make them vote on this.
You know, when I saw...
Make them stand up and filibuster if that's what they're going to threaten to do.
When I saw Senator Portman doing a complete U-turn about gay rights and gay marriage because his own son had come out to him, and I totally respected him for doing it, and that's fine. But it did cross my mind how many of these senators who, in my view, probably do think there should be an assault weapons ban, probably do think there should be universal background checks, but they have decided to go against their principle to protect their political seats. How many would change if one of their kids had been in that Sandy Hook school and gone through a Portman-like experience? In other words, it was right home to them and their families.
Well, I think we all know the answer to that question. If a man with an assault weapon goes into the school where Harry Reid's grandchildren go to school tomorrow and kills his grandchildren, what would he stand in front of that microphone at 5 o'clock and say, I know how Diane, you know, had to witness the mayor getting murdered, but my grandchildren just got killed today, but, you know, we can't get it passed because we just don't have the votes. Would he do that really? I don't think so. And
no, I don't think any of them would. Let's take a break. Let's come back and talk specifically about the aftermath of Sandy Hook, because you wrote a very, very powerful blog, very contentious, and I want to talk to you about that.
All right.